you ever hear that song, mid-70s, 80s, Band on the Run? I can hear the tune in my head. I am not singing it for you. I've only had a couple sips of tea this morning. Wouldn't do that to you. But I read the Psalm 63, and David is a man on the run. It's interesting what he talks about. And I kept thinking, when I have that big flashing D on my forehead for desperate, what is coming out of my mouth? You know, there's been also a lot of, he was in the middle of major office politics. God had chosen him. Saul said, I don't think so. He was the first king. David was king number 2. And David had already been anointed. And he's out in the desert with 600 people he's got to feed. 600 men. These are fighting men. They have appetites. You got to provide for them. It's not going well. He's been labeled a spiritual and political terrorist by the ruling party. Even though God said, you're the one I want. He is on the run in the desert. And what is he saying? So, good morning. This is Aunt Beth. Welcome to my lamppost. So, Psalm 63. Some of this we've turned into, worship songs at church. Your loving kindness is better than life. My lips shall praise you. I will bless you. I will lift up my hands in your name. But just before that, David's talking about he is so desperate for God that he would rather have God than water. Boy, that's... And then he starts talking about, in the night watches. So obviously they could have been attacked at any time. So they're setting guard over the camp. And in the night watches, he's thinking about God. When people have really done you wrong, I can't exactly say I'm thinking about God. But he doesn't give them, they're not living rent-free in his head. He just can't be bothered. He says, those who seek my life, it won't go well with them. They'll fall by the sword, or jackals will eat them. But God. And he is so focused on God. And I think of all the rough times in my life, skinny times. You wonder if you're going to make it. You got more months than money in your checkbook. You're doing what you believe God called you to do, and man, it's just not working out. What am I thinking about? What am I talking about? It says, because you have been my help, therefore in the shadow of your wings I will rejoice. And I looked for you in the sanctuary. This is not a Where's Waldo. There is a designated meetup spot. And I think it would behoove us all to have a designated meetup spot with God. But it's interesting. There's a thing that says when you can tell a lot about a person by how they handle, like when they've lost their luggage after a long trip. Yeah. So I've been there. I did that. My response wasn't exactly godly. I cried. So, and you get on with it. But he did not whine. He rejoiced. And it's interesting what he's looking forward to. He's not looking forward to vengeance. He's looking forward to being easily accessing the presence of God. Of course, in the sanctuary, that's, was in Jerusalem, and he was persona non grata. So, you see how he behaves. Words locate you, don't they? Anywho, I'll put the psalm down below where you click on the word more. But I hope this blesses you. You know, it wasn't all flowery beds of ease. You had a tough life. You know, on the run, I think, for like 12 years. You know, even after everybody knew he was supposed to be king, the other king was not handling it well. But how he handled it is, I think, most important. So how am I handling it? What are my words? What am I thinking of when the chips are down? Is my brain busy trying to figure out a way? Or am I so desperate for maintaining my relationship with the Lord and knowing that when He's in the middle of it, it'll all work out? You know, we all have a flashing D on our forehead. It's just, what are we desperate for? Anyway, I hope you have a fabulous day. All God's best.